Hello.
Yeah, that's your name.
Squirrels got me.
Big Jim.
Yeah.
Really cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
That's good that you think that of it, because that's what deer hunting typically is cold and fun.
Yesterday morning, I'm glassing up on the pass, and I see these deer moving. And I'm like, ooh, there's some deer moving. All of a sudden, I just see this person just head down, just hauling ass, wearing shorts and a T-shirt with a pack on. And I'm like, is that Tard? My dad always talks about floating through the woods like the autumn breeze.
So Robert's
when you're
the
275 pounds, I don't know how you do that, but
the Freightliner. It's just like a creeper. You're just kind of up in the corner watching what's going on down there.
Yeah.
You know.
He's like,
he's up there slapping it, pissing all over everything.
Is it warm yet?
How did you know the name of the actor?
That's right. I know.
How did you say his name?
Hervé Villechaize.
You know what Pertnear means.
If you know what Pertnear means and you live in America, you're a redneck too.
Welcome to the Log Talk Podcast, brought to you by Pertnear Outdoors. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us again. This is your host Billy, and welcome to the Log Talk Podcast. This week is episode 55. We are halfway through the month of August, and hard to believe that we're staring down the pipe already at September, and after September it comes October, and that means hunting season's on the way. So very excited for what we have to come here this fall, and I had to imagine that many of you are as well. And hope we're putting out some good content here that you've been enjoying to get you geared up and ready for the upcoming hunting season. So we've got a bunch of good stuff going on in the near future here. I've got, if you're listening to this on Monday or Tuesday, we will be doing a live kind of collaboration with John Legansky of Whitetail 101. John has worked hard to create an online training program for hunters, for deer hunters in particular, is what he's doing for whitetails. So John is trying to find different ways to reach out to new hunters, and a big focus of ours here at Pertnear Outdoors is to help new hunters get started, to be educational, be informative, be entertaining, all of those things, as I hope we're checking all those boxes for you. But not only are we focused on the people who have been hunting for a long time, but the new hunter that is coming in and looking for that community and looking for a place to learn. So John has really been a guy that I've hit it off pretty well with from the jump. We did a podcast with him back, I believe it was in March. We posted that, and so we're working to try to, with all the new hunters that are out there, all the people that have passed their hunter's ed course, whether it be for just gun or archery as well. We want to kind of get the conversation started and kind of show people what John has to offer. So we're going to be doing a live broadcast on our Facebook page Tuesday night at 9 o'clock. So feel free to tune in for that if you are available. We'll be answering questions. We'll probably do about a half-hour conversation and then answer some questions for whatever amount of time we have. So kind of targeting about an hour-long discussion, but should be a good one. I'm going to have Danny Zahler will be on with me, and John, and then also my friend Jeff Jones, who I've been kind of hinting on the podcast over the last few weeks, a new hunter that has been close to me that I never suspected would become a hunter, and that is my friend Jeff Jones. So he is as fresh as they get, has zero experience, never been hunting before, very little experience shooting. He's been into shooting a little bit, but not much with archery, period. So he went and actually went to Heritage Outdoors Sports today and shot a bow, and I think he's very close to making a purchase, so I'm excited for that. So pretty pumped to help get some business over there to Heritage, as well as get my buddy set up with a bow. So we're going to kind of have a fun conversation all around that. So hope to tune in. If not, if you don't make it, we will be posting that up here as a podcast later next week. So that is that. I also made a post beginning of this past week about the new online tag system from New York State, the decal system as they're calling it, which is their automated licensing system. I know I got a few messages on that, some good engagement on that post. on Instagram. It sounds like some folks have had a little bit of trouble getting onto that site and having it work properly, so hopefully they're getting those bugs worked out. I personally had 0 issues, logged in, put my hunter ID number in, and I was in. I was logged in. I was able to actually purchase I've been wanting to do it for years, and I just decided to bite the bullet this year. Bought my lifetime with a muzzleloader and archery. My dad bought my brother and I both the lifetimes, the sportsman, just the regular sportsman, which is your fishing and your small game and your big game regular season. So I had that, but every year I have to purchase the archery and muzzleloader tag. So I will not have to do that any longer. So I did that, and I also purchased got my doe tags. The doe tags are free. I'm not 100% sure if they're free for everyone or if you have a license, if you're a resident, if they're free. I think that's the way it works. If you have a license, or if you're buying a license and you're a New York State resident, I believe those tags are free. Your DM, they call them DMAPs. I think they're DMPs, dome management permits is what they are. DMAPs are what farmers get for managing deer on their property. So I wanted a quick hit on my strategy for the doe tags, because I don't know how everybody approaches it, and especially if you're new, you may not really understand how that whole program works. So each year, New York State will do, at least as long as I've remembered, which I know they didn't always have doe tags, but now with this management plan they're under, they usually do 2 different tag draws for doe tags. So at least for us here in Western New York, the areas that I'm used to, and you can go online. I've got the documents. I was on there looking at the DMPs, and they have I've never broken it down this much. I've always just known what areas I want to hunt in, but they do have a breakdown of how many tags they're giving out in that DMP. So that would be by your management area. So for example, 9H, where we live here, this round they're targeting to give out 29,000 tags, and then it tells you what your likelihood is of drawing. When you do your doe tags, you get a first choice and a second choice. There's a chance that you don't get your first choice, but you get your second choice, vice versa, or you could get neither. It is a lottery, but the chances are very high, depending on what they show you here on the chart. So typically the areas that I hunt, with being 9H, 8N, and 8H, those are typically always high, especially on the first draw. So I wanted to kind of share my strategy on what I do. 9H seems like in the past has not had the ability to get more tags for 9H on the second draw, which is kind of their leftover tags usually right around the 1st of November. So if you're putting in for your tags, look at and maybe talk to other people that hunt in that area and find out if they have success getting a tag on the second draw. My mindset when I get my tags is that I always want to make sure I get my 9H for here, because they typically don't do them on the second draw. So I try to get my 9H with my first choice, and my second choice is usually an 8N where our hunting camp is. And I'd never really looked at these numbers, but they're giving out 29,800 tags in 8N is their target. That's a lot of tags, but that will go quick if there's a lot of people getting multiple tags, because you can get 2 in the same area if you so choose. So that's my game plan on the first round, and I was successful on getting a 9H and an 8N. And then come the 1st of November, when they come back out with the second round, I will usually put in for 2 8H tags, which can be used up in farmland where I've got some buddies with some property with lots of opportunity on does. So that's kind of my strategy, and that was probably a lot of, I don't know if that made sense to anyone or not, but I think when you go into doing this, think about what your opportunity is, both in the first draw and in the second draw, and go on the DEC website, and when you go in to look at the DMPs, the dome management permits, they have the PDFs of both the maps and of the quotas that they're giving out for each area and what your likelihood is. They don't tell you when you're putting in for the draw. If you go to a store, typically they have the map there and will tell you whether they're high probability, medium probability, or low. But when you're on the website doing it through decals, it did not tell you what the probability was. So if you're new to this, or if you've never put in for doe tags before, strongly recommend it. Get your doe tags, get out there and harvest some does, but do your research beforehand to make sure, because it would definitely stink to not get your tag. There's always a chance as a lottery that you may not have your number called when you hit the OK button, but you better do the research up front so that you know what you're trying to get. So that's that. A lot of talk on the new system. I'm happy to see that they're doing that. This week, as we start rolling into the episode here, this week I've got Nadine Fulle. She's kind of a local outdoors woman here. She's pretty involved with the Hawkeye Bowmen archery club here in Alden, and I connected with her back in the spring when the New York State DEC announced that they were going to be converting over to the online Hunter's Ed program because of COVID and everything that's going on with that. So that's how her and I connected. I liked what she's doing. She's a super nice person. It was really nice to sit down and talk with her and hear her backstory and how she got involved in what she's doing now. And then we talked quite a bit about archery and these local archery clubs. So I absolutely recommend people to get involved with their local clubs and organizations. Definitely a lot of good stuff going on locally, and great place to meet people and support the conservation community. So good stuff there. And lastly, I will give just a plug to the Backcountry Hunters and Anglers chapter here in New York. We're working hard. In the beginning of this conversation, I mentioned about the influx of new hunters. We're all trying very hard to engage and to reach out to those individuals, and we are doing the same thing with the chapter here in New York with BHA, with the challenges of doing in-person get-togethers. We're doing a little bit of this virtual training. So we're going to once a week for the month of September, we're going to be doing different discussions on deer hunting and kind of just focusing on deer hunting, since that's the most popular of the hunting sports that we suspect people will be getting into. So we're going to do every week, every Thursday night for the month of September, there will be a live Zoom video on our Facebook page for the New York BHA group. So definitely head over and like and follow that page. Check them out. If you don't know what BHA is, it's a good organization supporting our public lands and waters, and definitely a lot of people like-minded, caring about the environment and caring about the animals that live on them, as well as supporting our heritage of hunting and what we all love to do. So check that out. I will shut my mouth. Enjoy this conversation. I appreciate it so much. Give us a like and a follow if you like it. If not, thanks for listening. Keep fading them. Have a good week. All right, Nadine.
Yep.
Fully. Nadine Fulle.
Yes.
All right.
Actually, that's the correct pronunciation, because everybody used to go Nadine, and my grandmother, and they'd be like, no, it's Nadine. I'm like, no, it's not. It's Nadine. No, it's Nadine, because Nadine is Russian.
Okay.
And that's why my dad named me, because we're Slavish.
Okay.
So he's like, no, it's Nadine. I'm like, so when I get all the older people, Nadine, I'm like, what? Everybody's like, you answer to that? I'm like, yeah, I have to.
Yeah.
It's my name.
Yeah, it goes that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You have to answer to a whole bunch of different things. That's how it is with me. I have all kinds of nicknames. Billy, Willie, Bill, Slick, all kinds of stuff. I respond to anything. Just don't call me Susan.
Well, why not?
My friends called me Susan growing up. Yeah. Because I was always the one that was like, guys, this isn't a good idea. We shouldn't do this. So I was that guy, and so they called me Susan.
Guess it's better than Karen.
Yeah. Nobody wants to be a Karen. Everybody has a Karen.
Yeah.
I have an Aunt Karen. She's lovely.
Yeah.
She's a piece of work. My wife has an Aunt Karen as well. But those two Karens are all right. But aside from that, you don't want to be a Karen.
Don't be on Facebook.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. There's one for Alden, unfiltered. We just sit there, and it's like me and one of the other members that's here, we'll just go back and forth. And it's like, okay, Karen, knock it off. And he's like, I'm not Karen. We just do it because then everybody else joins it.
It gets everybody all worked up. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All those, whether it be Twitter Twitter's one and Facebook's another. Like when you get into some of those groups, they can just get like I don't know how you keep track of where the conversations go and all the different directions in the comments. It's crazy. It really is, especially the local stuff. Like, and then it's like all people that know each other, and they're just.
And Alden is, I mean, we just moved here 4 years ago, but it's like a close knit community. And like you said, people start knowing, and it's just like some people will be like, Nadine, stop it. No, I'm going to have fun with it. And you do, and then it goes off on a tangent, and then someone goes, can we get back to the conversation that we were supposed to have? Because now it's all about the schools.
Right.
And that's like, you guys took the survey. And there's people that talk about they don't even have kids in school.
Yeah. The survey about going back to school?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in a crazy time right now. I mean, and especially with the social media and everything, because everybody's got their 10 cents, and a lot of opinions and stuff are not based off of what is a fact at this point. I don't know what a fact is.
You even the facts aren't right.
Right.
I just go on there. I do my stuff for my business. I'll do it for Hawkeye, and then I'm like, okay, I'm getting off. I'm done. I don't want to listen to you people anymore because it just gets a little bit ridiculous after a while.
It's gotten that way for sure. Yeah, it's exhausting, but you gotta. That's why it's important to have hobbies, because I feel like a lot of people that don't have hobbies, they just sit there and stare at it.
What are they? The behind the keyboard, whatever they call
keyboard
them?
warriors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
down in mom's basement.
Yeah, because if they were face to face, they wouldn't talk to you.
No.
They'd be like,
yeah.
And they're probably these.
Oh, for sure. For sure. That's why none of them have pictures of who they actually are, and their names
their
aren't
names.
real. Like Nadine Fulle.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know about this one.
They'd be like, her? Yes, I know her. You don't want anything to do with her.
Yeah. So I wanted to get together with you. You and I think I had seen you on social media through the Western New York hunting and fishing Facebook page. You're one of the administrators on that page.
Yeah.
So I'd like to, I didn't really plan on talking about this, but I'd like to learn a little bit about like that and how that all originated, because I've just been a part of that group for probably 6 months now, 6-8 months. But that's where I'd first seen your name, and then you and I kind of connected back around, it would have been like maybe middle of March or end of March when the DEC made their change with the education program.
Yes.
And then you and I started corresponding back and forth a little bit. And I love that. Like, I love the different perspectives and hearing it from other sides, because you only see it from one side, but what's the other's opinion? And you also are a hunter ed instructor.
Yes.
You've done that.
Yep.
You actively currently doing it. Obviously, you're not doing it right now.
Not right now, but
with it.
we do the classes here. We try to do 2. We'll do hunter ed, and then we do archery ed. We try to do one in the spring and then one in the fall. But I try to do it. A good thing I did, we made the decision to do that, is have them both together, because as soon as we had our class, that's when everything happened. And I mean, they're doing it online, that's fine, but for doing face to face, that was the last class I think probably in the area.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so because I don't have a roadmap in front of me. I don't have a notepad, which is totally against my dad's gonna be like, man, I can't use them show notes. I want to talk about the social media stuff. I want to talk about the Western New York Facebook stuff, just kind of your opinion and how that all originated. We're sitting down at Hawkeye Bowmen at the archery club here in. Is this Marilla or is this Colesville? What do you guys consider this?
Alden. Marilla.
Yeah, it's kind of in like no man's land here.
Yeah.
But if you're from the Buffalo area, there's a very good chance you've seen Hawkeye Bowmen driving by, or maybe you've been here to shoot. And I think in the common theme of what some of our recent episodes have been. And with this surge, it feels like, of new hunters and new archers getting into the outdoors and into this stuff, I think it's really important to know where these local, whether it be sportsmen's clubs, gun clubs, archery ranges, where they are and how you can get involved. So I want to talk a little bit about what you guys do here.
Okay.
You are a woman in the outdoors.
Last time I checked,
Yeah. These days you gotta be careful. So I'm just kind of curious. We'll talk a little bit about that. And I think, in the hunter ed stuff is something I want to round around. So first, let's start with like, who are you? Where are you from? Your background in the outdoors, and then we'll kind of get going on that list of things to chat about.
Okay. Nadine Fulle, as you're saying. I'm originally from West Seneca, New York. I currently live in Alden. We've been here about 4 years. We've always been in the country. My husband's from Elma, so I kind of got from the suburbs a little bit more out. I have 4 children that range from the age of 28 to 14, 3 girls and a boy. They're all pretty much active in outdoors. There's a couple of them that are a little bit more active. My daughter Noelle, she actually is very active in archery. This is her second home, and I've raised a family here, or uncle or gramps or something
That's
like that.
awesome.
So she's really good. My son Chance, he's into it too. Not as much, but he is starting. But unfortunately, he's 6'4", 14 years old, and trying to find him a bow that fits him. He kind of grew. We go over to Nature's Prize, and Tiffany over there,
Okay.
she had fitted him for his first bow, and we had to go back, I'm not kidding, I think 4 months later, and he grew 2 inches because she had to remeasure him, and she's like, what happened? I go, he grew, and she's like, oh my God, I've never seen such a big jump.
That's
so
crazy. Is he real skinny or?
Yes, he's skinny.
He's got to
and
be a
tall.
beanpole if he's growing
Yes,
like that.
and he's just all lanky. So, but we have to go and get him done again. So we may be getting him a new bow because he has my old bow, and I don't know. I'm hoping. I mean, he's like 3 inches taller than his dad, and I'm hoping that his draw length isn't that much because there's only certain bows. I think 31, 32, and if it's any more, I'm like, you're not gonna be doing archery.
Yeah.
But yeah,
He'll be
we're
using
all,
like
yeah.
a 5-inch D loop on his string.
Yeah, it'd be like this big. But we fish. We love camping and all that other stuff. So, yeah, I've been.
Who got you into the outdoors?
Well, my dad used to get me into the fishing with my sister, and you wouldn't know it because I do not touch worms. I do not touch fish. I will have my kids, and they're great. They'll put the worm on the hook for me, and I'll fish. I'll get the fish, and they take the fish and off. It's hysterical. But my dad did. He always wanted me to take the hunter ed course, and we never got to it. He had passed, and when I met my husband, he actually kind of got me in more. I went hunting. Well, I'd go walking in the woods with him while he was hunted, and then it started from there. I started with gun, and it's okay. And then actually archery is a little bit more of my passion, and it's a little weird because I never wanted to shoot a bow because I didn't think it was gonna kill the animal that I was going, because I'm like, oh my God, you're gonna shoot an arrow, and it's like, no, it's not gonna do anything. And then after I learned a little bit, I'm like, yeah, it does. It's the
just
same
as
placement,
efficient, or maybe better. Yeah.
So
In some ways.
I gone to the the Western New York Expo show at the fairgrounds, talked to the guys from SNS, and they set me up with a bow and stuff. And ever since then, that's what I do. I mean, like I said earlier, I have a shoulder injury, so it's kind of getting there. But I got my first buck that year, an 8-pointer, and it was my first deer ever, and it was nice. It was my first buck. So
I'm gonna stop you right there. I want to hear the story. First buck story. That's a thing we're doing.
Okay.
And you just led yourself right
I
into
read,
it.
yeah,
So.
put my foot. Okay, so my mother-in-law, she lived in Alma, and that's where we were hunting because she had like 3 or 4 acres, but we hunted around there. I'd gone out early in the morning, sat in the woods. I'm like, Now there was like a slight incline because they were down on a little hill, and you can see the deer up there. I didn't see nothing, so I'm like, it's around 12 noon. I'm like, 1 o'clock. I'm coming in. I got to eat lunch. Came in, went downstairs in the basement, started undressing. About an hour later, I'm downstairs doing some stuff. My mother-in-law goes, they're back. I'm like, who's back? Thinking like, what are you talking about? The deer are in the backyard. You've got to be kidding me. Because they never come out during the day. They're more toward the night. I'm like, look at the clock. It's 2:30. Okay. So she goes, there's 4 of them. You're not. No, you're not. She goes, yes, there are. So I look. Yep, there's 4 of them. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I'm like, all right, put my clothes on. I put my jacket on. My boots are half on. I got my jeans on. I'm like, I'm not putting everything on. I'm going over in the woods. So probably about 100 feet away from the house. I go, and then I move a little bit more, and I stood behind a tree. Well, one of the does heard me or saw me and started snorting and took off. Well, there was a 4-pointer and then 2 other does with it. So the does, they're like looking around, and they took off, and the buck's looking around. He's like, yeah, whatever. So after a while, and she was in the woods. I can see her, and she's bedded down, snorting, like warning, you men, come on.
Yeah, right.
Snorting, whatever. So then the other does just look around. Yeah, okay, whatever, because they couldn't see me. They walk back. They're eating everything. And then I'm like, it's getting dark. I don't like taking that chance of waiting. So I'm behind this huge tree. I'm like, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to get it done. So I draw my bow. I go around. There's an 8-pointer. Have no clue where it came. I'm like, oh, you're mine. Boom. Well, it jumped. I thought I hit it in a certain area where you guys would cringe. And I'm like, oh, there it goes. And it took off. My husband had just pulled up. He goes, he's like looking in the woods. He goes, did you just shoot something? I go, yeah, but I'm not sure it was in the right spot, okay? So we waited a little bit because, everybody's like, if you're not sure of the shot, jump the string. And you don't think people are, because when we teach the courses, we're like, jump at the string. It's like, what is that? And we'll explain it. And I'm like, it jumped the string. As soon as I did, it did what it did and jumped up.
The deer jumped.
Yeah. So we waited a little bit. I'm like, all right, let's go look. So we did. And it was getting really dark. I'm like, we had our flashlights. I'm like, you know what? Let's wait till morning. I had to work. Well, I'm at work. I'm a massage therapist, so I'm at work. I don't answer my phone during massages. So I get this phone call. My husband's like, you need to call me. And he's heavy breathing, everything. I'm like, what's going on, right? So I call him. No answer. So I'm like, well, I know he's at his mom's house. So I call over there. She doesn't answer. So I finally say on the phone, I go, will someone answer the phone because you called me. I don't know what's gone. She calls me and she's laughing. I go, what are you laughing? I go, is Art there? She's like, yeah. And I go, what are you laughing about? She goes, I don't know if you want to come back over here. I'm like, why? I go, he found my deer. Yep. Now, his father was a trucker and used to use the trucking swear words.
Sure.
She goes, I haven't heard those words come out of anybody's mouth since your father-in-law was in, truck driving. I'm like, oh, that bad? Yeah. All right, tell him I'll be there. Drove home, went there. I go to the backyard, and about 30 yards, I can smell it. I got a gut shot.
Yeah.
Well, he dragged it at least 2 miles from where we did it. Where we stopped, he goes, it was another 100 feet from where we stopped to turn back. That's where he was.
Where you stopped. So the night before you were tracking and you backed out.
Yep.
And he didn't go another 100 yards.
Yeah.
Got it. And that happens all the time.
Yep.
But if you kept going, he may not have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, he was cussing. I'm like, I go, thank you. And he goes, it's a great deer, but you owe me. And I go, okay, so you can go buy a gun? He's like, okay. So he was all happy.
That's
so,
a hell of a deal.
So I'm
Wow.
like, he was happy. He goes, whenever you want it. And I'm like, oh, no, this is the last one. So, yeah. I always make the shots good.
Yeah. But that's, I think that's a great story. It all happened so fast and so unpredicted. And I'm sure your heart was racing in that moment when you pop around the tree and there's a buck standing there that you had no idea was there.
And
right?
you know how people say that you start getting the jitters and everything? I just looked at it. I'm like, oh, no. And then I just let it go. I didn't start shaking until after because I'm stopping. And then all of a sudden my hands are going I'm like, what the heck? And I'm like,
yeah,
so it was kind of funny.
Being your first deer,
yeah.
I totally can understand that feeling. And anybody who's out there that has been in that position or is about ready to be in that position, if you haven't done it yet, you're going to experience that. And if you don't, then maybe it's not the right thing for you because that's hunting. Like it raises your heart rate in ways that you really cannot. Heart rate and adrenaline in ways you cannot.
And it takes
you can't
a while.
make that up.
It takes a while for you to calm down. So I'm sitting there like, he's like, are you okay? Yeah. And, you're talking, you're jittery and stuff. It was kind of, of course, the kids heard and was like, yes. And that's when they were younger. And they were, when he brought it in, he's like, I'd let you do it. So when he got his, he lets them get in and everything else. So now that we get the deers, when we get them, we process them ourselves. And they're right out there, taking the skin off and everything else. I'm like, okay, you have fun. I'll do everything else. So.
It's awesome. It's a family affair.
Yeah,
it's
pretty much. Stuff. Now they're into deer hunting. One of the gentlemen here, we call him Gramps, he kind of adopted my daughter because my dad and Art's dad isn't around anymore. So he actually takes Noelle hunting with him, and he took her last year. She didn't get anything, but she did see. So, usually within your first couple years, you really don't see anything. And she's like, Mom, I saw one, but she's like, it was too far away. I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
So, and the other ones are like, Mackenzie, who's my second oldest, she saw one. She actually walked right up on one, and they both kind of got scared, and it took off. And she's like, I couldn't get a shot, and she wasn't going to take a back shot, because hopefully you teach your children about the ethical shots. So, and I was really proud of them. They're like, I got the, and they were just excited to see the deer. So they're like, we know it's out there. So yeah,
it's awesome. Yeah, I can't wait as a parent to. I mean, I don't want to rush these years by, but I got basically a newborn and a 2-year-old. So for me, my 2-year-old, like last night, we're instead of book time reading, some tractor book. He loves his tractor books. So instead of reading tractor books last night, I'm like, I got the QDMA magazines. I'm like, let's look at some deer.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. So we're like sitting down, looking at pictures of deer and flipping through the magazine. It's like, I hope he has the same passion, and I'm sure it was the same way it was with my dad, with my brother and I. And my brother was more into it than I was at the young age because I had other priorities with sports and
Right.
friends and things like that. But, it's like it's something. I'm sure there's other passions and other hobbies out there like that, but hunting is one that just is so corely ingrained with like camaraderie and friends and family and memories and stories. Like it's just different. Like it's different than a lot of other things you can do. If your hobby is playing, slow pitch softball, it's like, it's like, it's kind of like there's camaraderie with that, but it's like everybody just like leaves, and I don't know. It's different. To me, it's different. I guess maybe when you're in it, it's different. But it's a good life to live. So it's cool you're raising your kids in that and around that environment and being, it's kind of going into that. So you have the passion for the outdoors. So how did you end up getting involved? Let's start with the social media side of it. How did the Facebook group, like, were you part of starting that, or
No,
were
actually, Tom was the whole originator over there, and I joined it just because of being in Hawkeye, looking at different places to try to get more people involved in archery, and actually putting more stuff with hunter ed and archery ed, because we're always looking for the kids. And in the let's see, I gotta say it's 7 or 8 years since I've been an instructor, and in those years, it's nice to see that the kids are outweighing the adults who are taking the classes, and so are the women. So that's why I kind of started going on all these different social medias and say, hey, listen, we're having a hunter ed course, because, as you know, they're hard to get into, and we have instructors, but not that many.
Right.
So Tom, he was bringing on more, and he couldn't do it. So I started talking to him. I go, hey, if you ever want me to help you out with an administrator, because I'm sure you've seen some of the posts and people bashing each other.
Yeah,
because
you got to manage that. Somebody's got to be, policing what's going on there.
Yeah, so he goes, yeah, sure. So he actually brought on myself and I think like 5 other people. But we all kind of know each other just from social media and everything else. And we're actually supposed to, just before all this happened with COVID, we were all going to get together and just hang out.
Yeah.
And just, actually see each other face to face, because half of us are like, I don't know who you are. Who are you? But we FaceTime and stuff, but it's like, oh, that's what you look like.
Yeah.
So I've been probably an administrator for that for like 2 years.
Yeah.
So, but you see a lot of different comments, and it's interesting running a social media page because you have to kind of see it from both ends. But when people start getting nasty and degrading other people, and that's the bad part of that sometimes, is because people just don't know when to be quiet, unfortunately, or even be nice. So someone got a button buck. You know what? That might be their trophy, because they've never gotten. Maybe they've hunted for 10 years, and this is the first deer, and that's what they shot. You know what? Give them a pat on the back, or her a back. And it's just we don't. There's nothing, because there's kids on that page now too, because a couple of family members like, can you watch this? My kids like seeing it, because they like seeing all the fishing pictures. They like seeing all the deer. They see everything on there, and they love it.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll get a little comment. This is from my son. Blah blah blah. But if people get nasty, then they don't want to be part
you don't
of
want
it.
your kids seeing that.
No.
Yeah.
So that's how I got ahead with that. So, and I just comment whenever I can.
How do you feel about the social media? Like, let's just talk Facebook, because Facebook's much different than, like, Instagram is just more pictures, and there is comments, but majority of it is just you're just flipping through and looking at people's pictures and videos. But, like, Facebook it can be, any of the social media can be explosive. It can be negative. Like, what's your opinion on that? Do you feel like it's helping with like hunting, and you're being part of Hawkeye Bowmen and being an instructor, and you're seeing people and interacting with people that are around it? Like, what's your opinion on all that?
Well, on the educational part, we always teach, there's going to be the anti-hunters, and you always have to, because, way back then, like when my dad used to get a deer, he'd put it over the back of the, on the front of the hood, and he'd bring it home, and it was nothing. And now it's like, oh my God, poor
if you were
Bambi.
to do that, oh my God.
And that's just it. So you put that, it's like, we know that you're proud of your trophy or your harvest, but now, because everybody is so
polarized.
Yes, thank you. That
I knew where you were going.
You know where I was going, but I'm
Yeah.
trying to say it nightly. But that do it in a nice, like, some people have their tongue hanging out or something like that. It's like, just make it presentable. And if there's blood, kind of, cover it up, because you're going to get a lot of comments. But I think it's some of these people, and we can't, right now there's over 10,000 people on that page. So it's very hard to monitor it. I mean, before anybody gets on the page, they have to get approved. But sometimes if there's like 10 people, everybody just hits approve all. And then even if we do, then they get those comments later on that it's like, well, wait a minute, we okayed him, because we actually go, when we approve the pages, we actually go in the back. We go to their Facebook page and see. And the way that we do it, if there's no hunting or anything, then we're like, I don't really think this is a good person. But sometimes they slip through. But if it does become explosive, we will stop commenting, unfortunately, or we just take them off the page. And they've been warned. Unfortunately, we had to put the rules just because of people that, you have to be nice, unfortunately. Everybody has their opinion, and as long as it doesn't get nasty, then you'll be okay. But if it does, then we turn off the comment, or one of us will say, listen, we understand that there's, everybody has to argue to a point, but there's kids on this page.
Yeah.
If your kids are, and then of course we get, the younger generation, unfortunately, because we know how some of them are, that they just don't care. And I'm like, all right, bye-bye.
Yeah.
And I have no qualms, because we have too much hate in this country, in this world as it is. This is just something, everybody enjoys doing this, otherwise they wouldn't be on the page.
Right. And I think it's a good thing to talk about. I think it's something we need to continue to talk about, because you might have different people hear it every week, every time we have a chat about it. But I know it's something my brother brought up back in turkey season. He was having a conversation with one of our guests, Justin. He's a kid from up in the Lake St. Lawrence River area. And you see these pictures that people are posting, and that they're doing it to get a shock value. They're doing it to get a like, get comments, get people fired up. When you post something, most of the time you're posting it because you're proud and you want to get a reaction out of someone. You should want a positive reaction,
right?
Not a negative reaction. The reality is not everybody has the same, they're not trying to do the same thing you're trying to do. So it's like there's folks out there putting holes in the boat, and it's not a good look for us as outdoorsmen and women, because there's a lot less of us than there is of folks that aren't doing it.
Right.
We make up a very small percentage. We might feel like everybody out there does it, but it's because we've surrounded ourselves with everybody that does it.
Yep.
And the example I'm talking about is, like, there's been people posting on some of the New York, like, outdoors related Facebook pages. It wasn't on the Western New York one, but it was on, I don't know if it was on the Antler Outdoors or it was on the New York Outdoors. There's a couple larger groups. And it was like it might have been the same person had a picture sitting behind their turkey, like they were naked, so they're wearing no shirt. Who knows, they're wearing whatever on the bottom, but topless, and did the same thing with a deer back in the fall. And it's like, you're an idiot. Like, what are you doing? You're making us all look like barbarians, and that we don't. That's just disrespectful to the animals, disrespectful to what we're doing as outdoorsmen and conservationists. Like, what are you trying to accomplish with that? Because what you're doing is it's all negative. There's nothing positive to come away from that. So I don't know. I want to continue. I don't want to berate that point every time we have a podcast, but it's important for everybody to think about when you're getting ready to post that picture of the deer you killed, or of the turkey you killed, or the fish that you caught. Try to be tasteful in that picture. Think about, if it's on the tailgate of your truck, which is great, but make sure that it's not blood and gore and tongue hanging out.
Yeah.
If it's in the woods, try to have as least amount of blood showing as possible, because yes, we all know what happened there. You killed that animal. It may not have been pretty, whatever, but there might be somebody seeing that is seeing it for the first time, and it just could just start a huge war and a huge battle that none of us need at this point in our outdoor passion and in our space, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Usually when hunting season starts, I'm usually the one, because Tom's like, yeah, go ahead and do it. I'll say something. Hunting season's right around the corner. If you're going to post pictures, that's fine. Make sure they're tasteful and whatnot. And there should be no comments on size, whatever anybody did. This is their first harvest. You should be happy. We're supposed to support each other. And it's actually in the last year was pretty good. The year before, the first year that I joined, it was horrible.
Yeah.
I just delete. And Tom's like, what are you doing? Deleting. And he's like, I see that. Why? And I go, because I don't like people today. And he's like, oh my God, you're so funny. But he's like, And then he would read the comments, because when you delete something, you can actually look at what was deleted. And he's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, yep, I'm delete happy today. And he's like, well, you have fun. I go, I really don't care.
Yeah.
You know, it's to that point where it's like, okay, this is enough. You have to get to that point and say, nope, never mind. You know what? You don't like me. I really don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. You're putting holes in the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. And so we don't need to keep hammering on that, but everybody just keep that in mind as we approach hunting season. That's a huge thing to be thinking about. And if you see somebody that has a question, and it might seem like the dumbest question out there, they're reaching out for guidance, you know. And so on the last week's episode, I had Trey Bowmen from he's down from Mississippi, nowhere's near here. Yeah. But his big focus is new hunters and the future of hunting and stuff like that. And one of the things that he talked about, that if he sees someone that has a question, a lot of times he won't engage them directly on that thread or on the page. He'll just message them personally. And I thought that was a fantastic idea. I never really thought about that, and I did that this past week with someone I saw post on one of the groups that I belong to, and that they just got their hunter safety course. Now what? So, you know, I just reached out directly to him and said, hey, this is who I am. I've got experience. This is the area I live in. If you need somebody to talk to, or if you want somebody to learn from, I'm happy to help you out. Right. You know, and like, so that, you know, if you're anybody out there, any hunter, like there's a lot of us out there. Yep. I mean, that can go so far, even just to talk to somebody. And because in this world we're in, like I was just talking to my friend yesterday on the phone, it just passed his hunter safety and his archery. And he's like, what do I need to buy? I need a bow. I need gear. I need all this. And it's like, whoa, like I know you know, like the buy once, cry once mentality, but you could go hog wild, buddy. You could spend $15,000 if you want, easily in no time. Before you even left the store, you could be at that. But you gotta be realistic. What are you trying to achieve? So there's a lot of questions they ask, and I can imagine to somebody in this day and age coming into hunting, there's so much content out there. And if you are trying to be just like what you're seeing on these channels and everything, like that's not attainable. Let's start at square one. Let's understand what we're trying to achieve and then go from there. So, you know, if you're a new hunter that's listening to this, there's a lot of resources out there locally to reach out, and most hunters are more than happy to point you in the right direction, tell you what you really need to get started, and not like a sales pitch of brand X or brand Y. You got to have this, got to have that. So,
and most of the clubs that are out there, any of the organizations that are out there, actually have at least one or two instructors that will help, you know, take that extra time. You can email, you know, message them or whatever. Someone will get back to you. If not, you can always call the DEC. They'll get whoever you're, you know, get in touch with one of the instructors and say, hey, listen, there's someone here. Can you help them out? They're pretty good about that. But, you know, just look on any of the sportsman pages and just reach out and say, hey, I have a question. And most of them are pretty good that you can do it. You don't have to be a member or whatnot. Like Friday nights, we have our shoots here. And I always get a lot of messages. Hey, can I come up and shoot? I'm not really sure. Yep, come on up. Do you have a bow? Nope. All right, you can use one of ours because we have the Genesis bows. Okay. And they go from 5 to 20, 25 pounds. And we'll actually show them, you know, how to shoot and stuff. And they may get they'll try one of the courses. I go on the yellow course because that's one of our easiest courses. And I go shoot. You don't have to be at the stakes. You can move up and just see how it is. And they're like, oh, okay. And then when they come back, they got these grins on their face. We want to do this. And it's like, awesome. And they come back. They borrow one of the bows and they have fun. They're like, well, I kind of did this. I'm like, yeah, that's because of this. Oh, okay. But everybody, you know, you just have to ask questions. And remember how they always say, no question is stupid. So otherwise you're not going to know. That's what we always say in classes. And it's interesting because, like I said, we had the women and the children. The kids actually ask more questions than the adults. Yeah. And it's like, go ahead.
And I would imagine it goes kids, women, men. Men we're so proud and we think we know everything, so we don't ask the questions. That's where, you know, I hear a lot of people talk about how much easier it is to coach a new woman hunter than it is to coach a new man, because we're just arrogant, cocky individuals, like self-identified.
We had started a while ago, and I haven't done it just because of being busy, but we had a couple all women's classes in which we just had all instructors that were women. We had a DEC officer that was a woman, so it was nice, and we asked them why they wanted to take it. And the women are like, because it's more relaxing. And I'm like, all right, I get that. And we did it a couple times, and then it kind of went, but then the women just started coming to the classes, even with the guys. We actually had one class that had more women than men, and it was like, wow. I mean, it was cool,
awesome.
and I'm like, that's awesome. And then we have our women's clinic up there, and we got a good response with it. They're like, we want to learn, but we don't want to ask our husbands or our boyfriends or whatever. I'm like, why? Because I just can't listen to him. And, you know,
Yeah.
but when we have our women's, we actually have 2 of the guys up here, and I'm like, listen, there's not that many women in the club, but I have these 2 guys. If you want, I'll put them in tutus or something like that. I'll put them in the pink dress, and they'll be fine. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, but they'll be like, do you want us to wear the dress? No, we're good, because they make them comfortable, you know. And they have a ball. They have
The
a ball
dresses
up here.
make the guys comfortable, or
Well, I don't know that. If whatever they told me they didn't wear them, so I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. Just don't ask, don't tell. That's the policy around here.
Yes. Look the other way.
Yeah. So, Hawkeye Bowmen.
Yes.
Let's talk about what you guys do here and what your affiliation is with the organization.
Let's see. Hawkeye Bowmen was incorporated in 1957. We're on 30 acres. Most of it is our courses. We usually have 3 courses set up during the year because of all our shoots. I am, let's see, I've held many offices here. I'm currently secretary right now. I've been here for, I think, 7 or 8 years. And I've held secretary. I've held president. I was the first female president.
Cool.
So I did that. I do our traditional shoot that we have up here. It's a 4-day shoot. Unfortunately, we had to cancel it. But if you look up at the hill, that whole hill up there,
Yeah.
it's during our traditional shoot. It's all camping.
Oh, cool.
It's all hello, bud.
Like primitive, right?
Yes.
Like I've seen the
The
pictures you guys have on your page where
Yep.
everybody's like wearing coonskin hats.
No,
and,
that's actually our primitive shoot.
Okay.
We have a primitive, and then we have a traditional.
Okay.
The traditional is a 4-day camping thing, and that's all you can shoot: longbows and recurves, and that's it.
That's cool.
So it's really neat. Then what else I'm on the membership committee. We're having an open house. I'm on that committee. I got a little bit of everything here. So,
Nice.
but yeah, it's fun. You know, my kids, like I said, my kids enjoy it, and it's like one big family. You know, and you know, just because I'm a woman, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think there's, on the top of my head, 7 or 8 women in the club that have been here a little bit longer than I have. And we just, you know, we're kind of like one of the guys. Of course, they worry about us, but, you know, like, we'll be camping. Are you sure? Yes, I'm going to be fine. And then sometimes if we're doing work details, Nadine, don't do that. I can lift it. No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And it's great, you know.
Yeah.
It's, they look out for you, but, you know, they know. Don't screw around with us, because we can give it right back.
handle
I mean,
ourselves.
we can, yeah, exactly. We give it, like, when they start on stuff, we turn around and do it right back, and they just stand there and they go, did that just come out of your mouth? I go, I was a fireman for 20 years. I've heard everything. I was a paramedic for 20 years. You know what? Just leave me alone, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, we all, you know, it's a good group of guys and gals. We have 117 members. That includes our active members, our regular members, our senior members, probationary, and out-of-town members, because we do have out-of-town members.
Okay.
So it's, you know, you have that core group who works and does stuff, but everybody else puts in, you know, they may do like committees. We have all the different committees, and they work on that behind the scenes. And, you know, we have our older members who can't come up here, but they help out as much as they can. You'll see them directing traffic at one of our shoots, or they're doing registration, or they're just cooking, because, you know, we have all the cooks and stuff. And, you know, it's just hysterical listening to some of them, but they have a lot of stories that are really cool that you just sit there and you're like, really, that's what happened? And it's interesting to see that, you know, the club's been here since 1957. They incorporated, and I think it was here 10 years before that, like at a house. It started in someone's house, and then they acquired the land.
That's really cool.
So it's like, and, you know, you talk to our president, and he's like, oh, no, when I was here, and he's been here 22 years, I think. And he's like, oh, yeah, you know, you can get the pictures and just see and what they used to do and just listen to the history. It's like, that's really cool. Two of the gentlemen are actually doing like an archive of everything. They got pictures. They're going to do like a movie thing and everything.
Cool.
So we can't wait until that comes out. So that should be really neat. They did a lot of work on it, so that'll be interesting to see when that comes out.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
Excuse me.
So, like, I grew up. My brother and I worked at Rochester Brooks Gun Club
Okay.
in Honey Falls. That's where we grew up in Honey Falls. My brother and I did. I moved out here. My wife's from Colesville.
Okay.
So fairly familiar with like gun clubs and sportsmen's clubs, but archery never. Like, and I don't know if there's a ton of archery clubs back in the Rochester area. But I know you were just rattling off, like, off the top of your head, like 5, 6 plus right around the Western New York area.
In Western
here.
New York, there's quite a few clubs. There's actually, there's the Erie County Federation, and they most of the clubs, I think there's like 100 clubs in this area that actually belong to the Federation. And
To the Erie County Federation?
The Erie County Federation. There's some of them are small, some of them are big. Like I was mentioning, we have Hawkeye. There's Allied right down the street. There's Woodenbrook. There's Double T Archery. There's I'm trying to think right around here, West Falls, Alma Conservation, and then if you start going like further out, like toward Evans, there's Eden. I mean, there's
So
you
like
just
a lot
have
of the
to
little
look.
towns have some sort of an
Yep.
archery. That's interesting. I mean, and in this, or like with you guys here, are you guys, how do you handle membership? How does that, because it's not like it just, like as many as possible. You guys handle that a little bit differently here, correct?
We're always looking for members no matter what. And like I said before, we're going to have an open house membership drive in September.
Okay.
And we are always, because it's just like with any other club, the older members are getting older and they can't do as much. So we're always looking for help, to do stuff. And here, you do an orientation. Your work hours as a probationary and even as a regular member are 10 hours. 10 hours. There's
not much, yeah.
always something to do up here. We have our vice president, Tom, who does a lot of the work up here with a couple of cohorts. And, they're older, so it's like they want to start enjoying the club. And we're starting to get some younger members. And, from our work details, they're proving to be great. So, like I said, we're always looking for members. You do 10 hours, and we ask that you can get your hours through our shoots. We have probably at least 8 shoots a year, if not more. Like right now we're doing our Friday night shoots, and it goes from 4 p.m. till dusk because we are the only club. So there's 3 courses, our regular courses that you can do during the day. Then at dusk we have Under the Lights. We are the only course.
That's right down through here, right?
Yep. We're the only place in Western New York who has Under the Lights, and there's 10 to 12 targets, and it's really cool. It's totally different shooting at night.
I bet.
And then, of course, you get
Well,
those
some of us have done it. With,
yes.
With in the backyard with spotlights.
Yeah,
and car lights.
Yeah.
It's always a good time.
It is, and it's different because you never know. And during the day, you can find your arrows unless you don't have those lighted knocks. You're going to be here next week looking in our bucket in the clubhouse for your. Did you find my arrow?
For sure. Or maybe hope there was some sparks that left a trail that you could follow.
Yeah, you're like, where'd it go? And then for the members, we usually have a family picnic that we pay for. We have steak nights where if you work so many hours, you get a free steak night, and it's nice. And then we have a banquet usually in February that if you had your 40 hours, you get a free meal, and we usually have it at the Whistle Stop. So there's a lot of perks here too that we have. And the club is open 24/7, so you can come here at 2 o'clock in the morning and shoot if you want to go down and shoot. We also have up on the hill, there's a tower that if you want to be, in your tree stand, you can shoot from there. Tom actually puts out, beginning of September, he'll put a whole bunch of 3D targets so that you can shoot at it.
Nice.
We always have one members course the whole year. So we actually have a few of our members that actually go out in their snowshoes and everything else, and they'll shoot the winter course.
That's nice.
They just go out and they have a
like
ball.
just members only shoots, you're saying?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, and like all the shoots that we usually have are open to the public. Well, if you see on Facebook, I'll put open to the public. Is it open? Because they know it's a private club. But we have enough shoots that, people can come up. But we get a lot of people who call. We usually have orientation 3 times a year. It's a 2-hour orientation. We go through our rules, regulations. We give you a walk of the property. Most people who do join because they came for a shoot. Or our Friday nights. We actually had Friday night shoots. We had actually a couple of people who had no idea that we were here. They're like, "Oh my God, we didn't know you were here." They came and they became members. So, we have a different variety of membership.
What's the cost per year? Is it a per year thing or?
For the first year, it's $100 for initiation, and then I believe it's $86 afterwards. So it's $86 each year. Mm-hmm. It's really $87, and then we do buy the buck or the buck program, so we donate to that, and then that's it.
So that's $100 a year the first year, 87 you said?
Something like that, yeah, 186, 87.
Every year thereafter if you are a good boy or good girl and stay in the club. Mm-hmm. But that's 365 24/7 that you have access to this place. That's a pretty damn good value when you think about it. Yep. Comparatively if you're paying, $50 a month for a gym membership.
Yep.
You know,
can,
just
and
kinda
let me
keep
tell
it-
you, you don't need a gym membership. There's lots of hills, and you've shot our courses.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about our courses, besides West Falls, we have a lot of different terrain that if you're shooting and you're practicing for hunting, it's the same terrain that you would have when you're going hunting. Because like I always tell everybody, you are not going to shoot that animal and just expect to get it like in the field. You're going to be going through the woods, over grandma's house, all that other stuff. So
Yeah.
it's like you're going to be traveling so bit. So the hills here are nice because Tom and Dave and his group, the whole group, they change our courses at least every 2 to 3 weeks. So
Oh, really?
if you come here on one Friday, and you come the next Friday, the whole course might be changed.
That's cool.
And we do have Bambis, regular Bambis in there. We had this past Friday someone shooting, and they went to shoot, and then they were just about to release, and there was a fawn in the back of it.
Oh my God.
So we actually have a mama. I think we have 2 mamas who have a set of fawns, twins. So, and they just sit there and watch you.
Well,
they
you guys
will,
are around all the time
Yeah,
here, so they just get used to it. Yeah.
They just walk around, and they'll follow you sometimes on the course and stuff. Mama's around, but the fawns like to prance, so
That's
they'll be like, it's
hilarious.
like, what are you doing? And they don't care.
Yeah.
We have our foxes, we have our coyotes, of course, and the bear that's always around that everybody sees. He passes through here too. So,
really?
Yep.
Yeah. Have you guys had any bear sightings this spring, in summer?
We haven't seen anything. I don't think anyone's seen any scat or anything, but
No.
usually it depends because sometimes he'll like go all the way around, but sometimes he'll come right through and we'll find it in the woods. Like 3 years ago during our traditional shoot, one of the campers actually said, "There's fresh scat down there." I'm like, "Well, then I guess you better not put no honey on you now, right?" They're like, "Really?" I'm like, "Well,
Leave your honey deodorant
yeah,
at home.
exactly."
That's funny. Yeah, I know, like Rochester way, there's been a lot of bear sightings, and up in areas
Yeah.
like just south of Rochester and even up actually north, like up towards the lake, which is just areas where you don't typically. There's more and more bears around, but yeah, funny story. The first time I shot here, we did the Alaskan shoot 2 years ago. This year it was canceled,
Right.
and we came 2 years ago. And it was cold. It was a cold day. It was snowing. The first target right from the top of the stairs here, and I'm shooting with my brother, my buddy Danny, and Scott Murray. And Scott, I'd never shot with him before. I've known him for like a year and a half, and like we talk hunting every morning at the gym, and we're buddies. So like you're got a little nerves. Like I don't want like he doesn't know whether I'm just full of crap or not.
Yeah.
So first shot, I want to say I shot first or I shot second or maybe I was last. Doesn't matter. But out of the 4 of us, I shot, and it's steep. Like that's like almost straight down.
Yep.
It was a coyote there at the time, so it was a small target. And I think we were like all ranging it, and we were getting like 18 or 19 yards. And I shot low, and of course I got these fancy arrows with an outsert on them. I'm like, these things are durable. They're awesome. First shot, I missed low, and I hit a rock right behind the target, and it bent the outsert on the arrow, and that just started. And then I had the yips the whole way through here that day. We got to the moose in the back half, and the moose is like 40 yards. I missed the moose. And I'm like, so they rode me so bad here that day. So I need to get back so I can redeem myself.
You
on
do.
on that big Bullwinkle back there, wherever he is hiding right now.
I think he's on the blue course.
Yeah.
There's one gentleman who comes here all the time, and that's his moose. I'm like, okay. Well, and he goes, he saw the moose, and he got so excited. He goes, oh my God, you guys actually have the moose out. And I'm like, yeah, the elk's out too. And this guy's older. He's just hysterical. Goes, stay away from my moose. That's my moose. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but it does say Hawkeye on it. Nope, that's my moose now. I'm like, you really, guys? I mean,
The buffalo is a pretty cool target too.
Yeah.
Like any of those huge targets. Like last year we went to the Total Archery Challenge down in Pennsylvania.
okay.
There was 4 of us that went down there for that, and they had a practice course that was on this side hill. It was on a ski slope, and this practice course went all the way. I think the furthest target was like 100 or 120 yards.
Oh, wow.
So like it's and that's what this whole Total Archery Challenge is. It's all for fun. There's no score, and it's just crazy long distance obstructed shots. It's just for fun. And so you're lined up on this on the road at the bottom of the hill, and there was this elk target way up at like I think it was like 95 yards, and there was a bison up there too, buffalo or bison, and you just got like 15, 20 people just launching arrows. It was just so cool. It was just just all these arrows just flying up there, like you see in the movies, like the flaming arrows flying over.
That's funny.
And just these, it's 100 yards. That's a long shot. But it's just cool, like, so coming around here and shooting different targets, you shoot the same thing in your backyard on flat ground, you only get so much out of it. So I really want to get myself, I have no excuse not to, being how close it is, to get over here some Friday night and shoot over the next couple months before season gets here. And so is that free? Is there a
so
charge?
on Friday nights for the 4 courses, technically if you count the night course, it's $12.
Okay.
Kids on 12 and under are free. If you need equipment, we have it. And usually what happens is if people want to shoot the night course, they'll do 2 of the other courses and then the night course, because shooting 10, 20, 40 targets, it's quite a bit.
Yeah.
So we usually start at 4 o'clock and we go until dusk for the regular courses, and then we turn on the lights. Probably around, it's starting to get a little bit darker, so I'll usually shoot them because I'm here for the night shift, as I call it. About 9:15 because it gets darker in the woods. So then everybody's usually gone. We stay here until about 11 o'clock. Okay. So it's really cool.
That's cool. Yeah, that'd be perfect for me too, because I come down here at like 9 o'clock after the kids have gone to bed and shoot some arrows and have some fun. That'd be cool. And
then we have another shoot because we didn't have our traditional shoot. We added a summer sizzler. And that's going to be a 2-day shoot. It's going to be the same price, except that you only have 3 courses. Our kitchen will be open. We'll have limited kitchen because of everything that's going on. But we will have breakfast, and we'll also have lunch, just regular hot dogs and hamburgers. But that starts at 7 o'clock, and that's August 15th and 16th. And it starts at 7 for registration, ends at 12, and then all the courses close at 2. So
nice.
Yeah.
And that's only traditional, or that's
nope, that's
you
everything.
Can do anything?
It's all equipment, including crossbows. So
oh, cool.
Yeah, we last year we allowed crossbows in. So
at the same targets, or
yep.
Okay.
It doesn't do any damage to the targets. No, it's.
It always makes me laugh because you got you go to the store and there's like, oh, here's a crossbow target, and it's like, okay, so am I not supposed to shoot my compound at that? Or so we have a crossbow target at camp because it's like, it's a target. It's going to stop my arrow.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think that was a great rundown of what you guys are doing here. And I'm excited about what you guys are doing, and I want, there's only so many hours in the day.
Yep.
But I would really love to get over here and shoot more often. It's right in the backyard, and there's just no reason not to get over here a couple times a year and throw some arrows and support you guys, because I think it's places like this that are a huge network for folks to come. And if somebody comes here, even if they're not a member and they come here for one of those Friday night shoots and they meet somebody, they might be meeting a future hunting buddy, or they might be meeting a mentor. And this kind of dovetailing into the conversation I want to have next about hunter safety, there's a lot like trying to get that out there to people, to go to your local sportsman's clubs or archery clubs or anything that's sportsman related. Try to get yourself into some of those environments, because you're going to make a lot of really important connections with people if you don't know where to get started. It's a great place to get started. So with that, how's everything? What are you hearing? How are things going with the hunter ed side of things?
I just received an email from the director, Kelly. She's my boss. Well, she's my boss. And she says that they still are trying to make plans, because school's going back in session, hopefully, that they're trying to get it. Yeah, they're trying to get the okay to start having classes. Of course, they're going to have to follow guidelines and everything. But right now, still not having face-to-face. Everything's on online. I believe the hunter ed and the archery are still till August 31st, I want to say, but check on the website because I can't remember what the dates are. But I think that you can still, take the online course. Unfortunately, you have to pay for it, but it's available out there.
Yeah. So I think it's $20 ish for the hunter's ed, and then archery's like $30.
Oh, is it? I thought they were both the same. That I'm not sure.
I was listening to a podcast this morning. You can't believe everything you hear on the internet, but I think it is like.
Is it?
I don't know. It might. Let's just say they're both $20.
Yeah.
So you might be into it for under $50 to get both courses done. So there's a give and take. Did they have any updated numbers for you? Have you heard any more numbers?
No, I know the hunter ed was quite up there last time we talked. I think it surpassed that.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the numbers are, but they said that it was really high up there. So
probably at 30,000
It's
ish
gotta be
or
at
more
least,
at this
yeah.
point. And what on a normal year face to face, do you know what?
We don't do that many here in Erie County. I think for Hunter Ed, we may get close to 250 classes.
Yeah.
There's just not the instructors out there. It's in the last, I'm going to say last 10 years maybe, that, we've had people pass away, and those are our older instructors who were instructors for a long, long time. One of our instructors here, Ray Gorick, he's been an instructor for almost over 30 years, I think it is. And he's hysterical. If anybody knows Ray Gorick, you know who I'm talking about. But, some of them are just getting tired, when the whole new online scheduling to do it that way, a lot of the older folks like, nope, we're not doing it, and they quit.
Yeah.
And
that's a lot of knowledge and experience, right? Just gone out the window.
And then there's other people who just don't want to do it anymore just because of all the policies. And I'm sure there's going to be a couple who are going to quit after all this.
Right.
So, because we don't know what our stance, even though they said we're still going to keep you and everything. And I'm like,
yeah,
I don't think it's going to be as big as it is, because someone could take it online, not have to come to class. They can do the class online. It takes as long, they have so many hours that they can do it in, and then just get a certificate. They may do it then. So
yeah, and I think we're at that's like such a perfect like snapshot of where everything is at with everything right now. I mean, you've got kids in school, like they're talking about. There's a potential reality of that school could start this year, and who knows how long it could go.
Yep.
All remote. Like, there's goods and bads of that.
yeah,
There
I know
is.
they're talking
And
for us. Probably the talk is hybrid, where they go 2 days or whatever. They have teams or whatever, but they're still going to be doing the remote learning. And I actually feel sorry for the teachers.
Yeah.
Not that I don't feel sorry for our kids, but they're going to have to do double the work.
Right.
And I mean, I understand the whole thing, but it's just that's going to be tough. And
and they got
they may
kids of
try.
their own. They've
Exactly.
got people at home. So that I think right now, it's fantastic that we've pumped a pile of new licensed buyers and hunters and people into the outdoors. It is like the conversation you and I were having. It is alarming, because one of the biggest things that you guys, the instructors, pride yourselves on is safety, your safety record.
Yep.
And you guys have the ability to make a touch and an impact on all of those individuals that go through those programs.
Yes.
So, taking all that hands off, it is it's a concerning situation.
We actually had there's a picture that one of our members showed us that someone actually got shot with an arrow in the back. I'm not sure if he survived or not, but they showed the picture, and it was right by his shoulder blade.
Oh my God.
So
that happened recently?
Yeah, probably about 2-3 weeks ago.
Somebody out
but
shooting.
But we don't know where it's from. He took the picture, and it's like, well, what's the story? He goes, I don't know. They don't know if they were, if they had taken a course, and they're like, oh, now that I have it, I can just go shoot.
Yeah.
And that's, and for us, the safety thing is a very big concern, because, we show them, and we don't harp. I mean, we do harp on them, but that's it's a safety class. And, when we do our safety class here, even when we have our regular classes, because we have youth clinics here for kids from ages 11 to 16, and then the women's class will have, and those are 18 and over. We harp, okay, listen, this is a shooting implement. You can still get hurt with a field point.
Yeah.
So no arrows, cocked or anything. You have to wait.
Having your gun pointed in a safe
exactly,
direction.
and that's at least with when we have our classes, if we see someone doing something wrong, it's like, hey, because as instructors, we don't care if your dad's been hunting a long time, if your uncle's been hunting a long time, if your grandpa doesn't have, we are teaching you the way that you need to be taught.
Right.
And we actually had a young gentleman who took a course, and he called out his uncle. Hysterical, because he's like, cutest little kid, everything else, and he's like, oh, I don't know, Miss Nadine. I'm like, what? My uncle does this, and my uncle does that. And I go, well, you need to go home and tell your uncle.
I bet you that would have been a fun conversation.
Well, yeah, because he came back for the archery course, and he goes, did you tell my nephew? And I'm like, yeah, are you doing something wrong? And I go, maybe you need to sit through our class. He came back and sat through the class, and he goes, because, there's people who've been grandfathered into the class, and rules change.
100%.
And they're like, wow. So if we do see a parent that's just sitting with their child, it's like, you know what, just take the class.
Yeah.
You get a, you still get it. You take the test and everything else. You may learn something, and it's kind of funny because then he apologized to his nephew. And he's like, "Oh, I didn't know that. See, Uncle, I told you." And it's just hysterical because, bad habits are bad things, and it's like you're going to do your own bad habits. Don't be doing someone else's.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, at times we've actually canceled. I've actually told people that they're not getting their card.
And it goes back to the conversation that we were having about what's on social media.
Yep.
Is that all of us have, and especially right now with all these new hunters, we're all, I've got 2 or 3 friends that are getting into it. You've got people that they're getting into it. The stuff that maybe you aren't putting out there, maybe it would benefit for you to put some information out there or put an arm out or hand out on social media and say, hey, if you're new into hunting or I heard you're into this, give me a call. I'll take you shooting. I'll show you the right way. But that's the important thing, is the right way.
Yeah.
And I think right now, whether this goes on for much longer or not having the in-person Hunter's Ed, my gut's telling me that there will always continue to be some sort of online piece to it, and that there'll still be a hands-on too. So that's good. Maybe I just have a feeling that's where it's going because of the response they're getting from the online. But there still needs to be that somehow, some way, as a group of people of hunters and outdoorsmen, we need to make sure that we're somehow connecting with those individuals to show them the right way and make sure that it's continue to be safe and they can be successful and have a good experience. Yeah. Because you can do anything online. You can go to college online. That doesn't mean
you
shit.
can go to Harvard now and take classes
right.
and, get your certificate or whatever.
Yeah. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So you really like that on the ground, hands-on experience. Granted, in a course that you do over a 3-day period with someone like yourself, you're still not fully capable. You haven't learned everything because you haven't made the mistakes yet, but you've seen it, you've done it, you may put your hands on it. So
when we have our classes here, it's very interesting to see, like, especially the women. We've actually had women who have never picked up a bow, and actually one of the women that is with our club now, she joined after she took the course. She never picked up the bow, and she's doing phenomenal. It's very interesting. Like, I don't even know how to hold one. So, we start from scratch on, one of our members, Dave, he'll actually do a whole history on the different kinds of bows, and we go over the parts of the bows, and we go over what it is. Then we take them out, it's a variety of different things. We just don't say, okay, shoot the bow. We are pretty much like, this is how you do it. We show them how to do it. We show the wrong way to do it. We show the right way to do it. So they're like, oh, and the first time that they're shooting, they're like nervous and everything else. But after they hit the target, even if it doesn't stick, they're like, oh, wow. And, then they'll start like on a big target that we'll have, and then we go down to a small one, and they're getting the bullseye. So it's really nice to see the progression, because the kids, they try to come back every year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's an addicting thing.
Yeah.
Hitting that target, once you get somebody hooked on it,
Yep.
It is undeniable.
And then if they see the big targets down there, like you said, the moose and stuff, I mean, the kids, when they come here and they see those targets, their eyes light up, and they go, kabish, kabish, and then they can't even talk, and then they shoot it, and then they go up and pet it, and it's hysterical watching the kids. And it's great because it's a big smile. They're outside. They're not behind their video games. They're not on their telephones. They're like, because they get back, can we do it again? Can we do it again? And the father's like, oh, my God, I can't, because they can't keep up with their child. But wait, you just wait.
I know. I've got one for sure that he's a mile a minute.
Yep.
My son Billy is. And I've got a little, like, kid's recurve bow that somebody gave me. And, he's, like, he picks that thing up and he wants to shoot. He doesn't have a clue how to do it. But, he sees Dad do it. So he does, like, pull the bow back, and it's cool.
We had an old member here. He's no longer a member, but he started here, and his wife was very, very quiet, so he got her into it, and then you got the kids and watching them grow up, and even watching the wife. The wife was actually out shooting, because then they started doing like the IBO and the ASA shoots, and she was out shooting him.
No kidding.
And I'm like, wow. And she comes up here. I'm like, oh, my God, what are you doing? I go, congrats. She goes, yeah, I know. And she was the quietest person, and she is having a ball. And this year, of course, not much, but she goes, I'm having so much fun. And the kids are into it, and they're doing very, very well, because, you remember when they're like, 2 or 3 years old, and now they're 5 or 6, and they got their bows, they got their quivers, and they're out there shooting with Dad, and they're doing pretty good. So, when you're an instructor, even just doing something like this, and it's about the kids.
Yeah.
Getting them in there.
It's the next generation.
Exactly.
And what an awesome way to spend time with your family, too. It's like, as a family growing up, we were skiing and stuff. Like, it's such an expensive sport. Like this, there's expense getting the equipment,
But I mean, hey, you're a member here at $100 a year.
Yep.
and
If you
can
think of
come
it,
here
it's
whenever
more
you
of an
want.
investment, especially if you're going
Right.
to do hunting. And a lot of people need to understand you just don't have to hunt with your bow. You can do 3D shooting. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, I don't want to hunt." You don't have to. It's
3D shooting is
exactly.
it's a
I go,
sport,
and I go, you can have fun shooting at pretend animals. Really? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, and and it gets them into the because everybody when you hear talk about even gun. You can go trap and skeet shooting and have a ball. My kids do it over at Woodenbrook with my husband, and they have a riot. But they hunt too. But they're like, wow, this is totally different than when you're hunting in the woods
Oh,
with
100%.
guns. And it's
Yeah.
like, so there's other.
It's more
aspects.
enjoyable if you
Mhm.
take you take my wife for example. I took her the first experience she ever had hunting or anything along those lines. I took her turkey hunting.
Okay, God bless you.
In hindsight, shouldn't have done that. Not that it was a bad experience for her, but it was 4:30 in the morning, and she's not a morning person, doesn't like to get up. So in hindsight, and not even so much hindsight, because then she didn't want to do that again. But then I took her to the farm when me and her family were doing clay, shooting clay pigeons, and she just absolutely loved it. Had a blast. I ended up buying her a shotgun.
Oh.
We don't shoot as much right now with the kids.
Yep.
But we'll get back into it. But she loved it.
Yeah.
And it's something, and I think she feels the same way about archery.
Yeah.
Right before she got pregnant with our second, we started kind of dabbling a little bit with the archery side of things because I know she would love to just go out and shoot targets.
Yeah.
And it's not about the kill for
Nope.
her. It'd be more about
Just
going
having
out
fun.
and spending fun time with the family and doing that. It's a good thing.
I mean, it is an investment. You have to get a good bow. Like we always tell, if you're going to get a bow, we always say go shop your local shops and let them fit you how you want and need to because that bow has to fit you. So, because we'll have a couple people, I got my grandpa's bow. You know what? We have to check it over, and then we find out that the limbs are that, and people are like, I found this bow. How is it? And I go, get it checked out. And I always tell people that. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah. And I go, I had a little guy, God bless him. He got a bow from his brother, and he had it at 70 pounds, so he's on the course, or he's on the range trying to bring it back, and he's 4'8". And I'm like, okay, put that down before you hurt yourself. I go, first of all, you don't need it at 70 pounds.
Yeah.
You don't have to have it so high. And I go, you legally, 35 pounds to shoot New York State. Don't need it that high. I shoot at 37.
Yeah.
But just even for just shooting, the targets, you don't need that much power. And it's like, and when people ask, I go, it's going to cost you some money to invest this. I have one of the higher end bows, so it's like, they're like, how much? And I go, well, let's look. Let's look at some deals.
Shoot?
I started with a Bowtech, and now I shoot an Elite.
Okay.
But now I'm looking for another bow, and I'm kind of going toward the Matthews and stuff. We'll see, because I see them on there, and a couple of the people are like, you're going to love it because of the draw length and the let go and everything. And like, oh, that's nice because I don't like it snappy.
Yeah.
So it's
you like a smooth draw
Yeah.
without a real deep,
Yep.
they call it the valley or hitting the back wall.
Yep.
And I think you're so spot on. And I'm trying. I've done 2 podcasts now with local archery shops around Western New York, and it's going to probably be physically impossible for me to hit every one of them before hunting season starts. But I someday would love to talk to everybody out there, but I'm trying to highlight what these local shops have, the brands they support, who the people are, because just like your local sportsman's club or archery club, it's if we don't have people going and supporting local, it's such an important thing. So it's invaluable to go to your local shop, even if you have an existing bow, take it there, have them look at it, inspect it, make sure everything's in tune, everything's good. Or if you're new and you're looking to buy a bow, go somewhere and shoot a bunch of different brands.
Yep.
Because just because you like the marketing advertisements from brand X
Yep.
doesn't mean that that's going to be the bow that steals your heart.
Yep.
So you got to put them in your hand, shoot some arrows through them, and figure out what's right for you.
And a true archery shop or any shops like that will take the time to set up those bows. If they don't, then they're not the ones for you. When
To
I
set
got
up
mine,
a bow that's an existing bow.
Yep.
You mean, yeah.
Yeah, just say, I want to shoot that bow. Yeah, okay. You should be, if they have 5 different lines, they should be able to set up 5 different bows for you at your thing. It doesn't take that long. But if you're going to go there, make sure you're there for 2-3 hours. When I picked out my Elite, I was at, where'd I go? Earth Spirits, because that's when we used to live out in East Aurora, so it was closer there.
Yeah.
And I was there for 4 hours picking out a bow because I'm like, okay, I don't know if I like this one, and they were great.
Oh yeah,
you
Mike
know?
and Maureen are
Yeah,
fantastic.
and now I go to Nature's Prize because it's closer here with Dave and Tiff, and it's just like
Where are they at? I'm not
they are
familiar.
right on Main Road in Akron,
Okay.
right between Crittenden and I think it's Cummings. They're right
Is
over there.
that like a wood log building? Wood? No.
Kinda.
There was a taxidermy place up there, wasn't there?
Yes, that's actually part of Dave's.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
He is right there, and they actually just extended they just remodeled some stuff. They got fishing, hunting,
Nice.
they got everything, archery and stuff. And they're great. Tiffany loves kids.
What brands they carry?
You know that I
Not
don't know.
sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure because they change all the time. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it's yeah, go shoot different stuff.
Yes,
That's a big thing.
yes.
I definitely encourage everybody to do that and call ahead if you're
Yes.
going to go to an archery shop. Let them know you're coming, because
some will like take appointments, especially if you're going to be
Yeah.
there for that couple hours, and they know because they want to help you, and
Yep.
of course they want the sale. But like I said, a true mom and pop shop, they will take the time to, and they won't like snicker at you and or just try to push anything on you because it's the most expensive and they get commission or whatever it is. But yeah.
exactly. So I think we hit almost all the bullet points. We were
think
going to
so.
talk about you being a woman in the outdoors and doing what you do, but I think we talked quite a bit
Mhm.
about that. Is there anything else you want to add on
No,
that end of
just
things?
to all the women out there, or even the guys out there, let your spouse do what they need to do. Teach them. It's just not a man's sport anymore. It really isn't, and
It can't be.
It can't be. You see a lot more women out there, and like you talked before, women listen better, and they'll be out there, and there's the girls out there with the pink camo and everything, and you can tell no pink here, but get them out there. It's just as fun, and teach them. Don't and don't be hard on them and whatnot, because you know what, they may get that harvest before you do. And your ego might take a little bit, but you know what? Doesn't matter. Meat's meat.
Yep.
That's what I say. My husband's like, I don't care if you get something, because I'm going to be the one gutting.
It's a victory.
But let your wife or your girlfriend or whatever gut a deer. Unlike my husband, when anybody gets a deer, he's right in there. I got to show you. Well, how about if you show me? Okay. And then he does the whole thing.
Show
and I'm
me,
like,
don't do it. Yeah.
I'm like, can you? Okay, never mind. But then, I'll help him, get everything else done. But I won't be there. I'll cut up all the meat, but he processes it. But then the kids get in there, they take off the skin, and then they do it. I'm like, yeah, you can do that. I'll do the rest. I package it and stuff. But it's like, let them get that thing. Because when we do we have a Region 9 youth archery camp. It was canceled. It's actually between 3 clubs.
Okay.
It's Hawkeye Bowmen, West Falls, and Alma Conservation. We rotate it every 3 years. And it's for kids that are ages 11 to 15. And it's actually their archery course. But we do it in 3 days because they get to camp.
Okay.
It's all free. They get to have, we feed them and everything. Kind of, sort of, But they get so much hands-on in that class that they have a lot of fun. And when they get their certificates, because we give them their certificates, at the end we have a nice chicken barbecue dinner. And when we do that, then we give them awards. We actually get a lot of sponsors that help us. We give a bow out with arrows. A couple of years ago, we gave out a tree stand, a blind and stuff. So these kids, and we do it, and then each of the kids gets a bag that they actually get a whole bunch of archery-related stuff that helps them because they're going out.
Yeah.
Because they get their certificate, they can go get their archery license, and you wouldn't believe some of the kids, like they said, some of them, we've had a few that haven't picked up bows, and they did it, and by the time they were done, they were like the most improved camper, and they get the it's
awesome.
And it's great. But you know what? And we do have a deer processing seminar. We all have to stand around the kids because some of them we've had. One year it was at Elmo. We had 3 kids go down. We're all standing there. I'm like, all right, hold on, wait there. And we had, when it was here at Hawkeye the last time, we had 2 kids. They just kind of sat down. And let me tell you, the colors that they change, they go from, red, white, and then green. And then you
green.
can see, yes,
I thought we were
green.
going to blue.
No blue, green. And then they sit down and they go like this, you okay? And then they just sit there, and then they wait, and then they wait, and then they kind of look, and because we do the whole deer processing.
So what time of year do you do that?
It's usually first week of August.
So how do you
So
guys
it
have somebody that shoots like a nuisance deer, or?
Yes, we usually do. Yeah.
So you
or,
got like farmers or
yep,
something.
mhm.
Yeah.
We get We actually have, I think it's a deer shop. He usually gets our deers for us. If not, someone who hasn't, excuse me, a Newsom print, we'll go out the night before and get it. And we just store it and stuff. But we usually do it early in the morning after breakfast. So, it kind of gets, it's nice and fresh, but and it's cooler. But usually we have that. And I think every year since I've been here, we've done it. So it's quite interesting to see the kids. Other kids are just like right in there looking at it. Yeah. They're right there. And it's like so early in the morning, But yeah, they have fun, and they look, because if they're brothers or sisters, we have a family. They started it, and then now they're my junior leaders and my senior leaders, and their whole family has gone through it. That's cool. So they're like, they're like, oh, we can't wait until the deer they tell everybody, so it's really neat. And we take 30 kids, boys and girls. They get to sleep in tents that we allow, that we have that got donated and stuff, and they have a riot. I mean, I can't believe how much kids that they bring. So now we have to have a list. This is what you need for camp. Do not bring more, because kids were coming here with trunks of stuff.
Oh my God!
And they're allowed no cell phones.
That's cool.
So in the beginning,
they're totally engaged.
Oh yeah, and they're busy from 7 o'clock in the morning till 10:30 at night. Wow. So yeah, and then by the time the instructors are like, go home, go home, go home.
That's fantastic.
But yeah,
that's good stuff. And like that, I don't know. That's the sort of stuff that some point in my life, like those are the sort of things that you get involved in, and it's stuff that you don't even know is going on either.
Nope.
And that's what's so funny about it. And I don't know how do you guys reach out to people so that, like, how do you find out about that? Like,
usually I'll post it on Western New York Hunting, and then there's another gentleman, Manny, he'll put it on one of his pages, and it kind of just like word of mouth, but sometimes I'll put it on the DEC website if I can get it on there quick enough. Okay. Because they have to, what they do is they sign up, but they have to send in a application, and then they have an essay that they have to write. Why do you think you should come to camp, and what does the DEC do? So they do a whole essay, and then we, the committee looks at it. Yep, yes, yeah, and usually everybody gets in.
Yeah. But it's making the kids do one little extra step and not just signing up and saying, oh, hey, look, we can get rid of Johnny for 3 nights and not worry about it.
Yeah, but they have to do the homework, kind of like now, but they have to do the homework before they come. If they don't do it, they can't come into the camp. So it's always like a week before one of us will be like, okay, don't forget, homework's due. You have to have this done, because if you don't have it done, you can't come to camp. And they're like, oh, and some kids get so upset. And I'm like, I missed one question. All right, we'll let you go with the one question, but you better find out the answer. And they do. They're like, Miss Nadine or, Mr. Phil or whatever. They'll be like, I found the answer. And you're like, oh. And we're like, what are you talking about? Because it's coming right out of air. Oh, okay, well, good. See, you knew the answer. Yeah, I just learned. We just talked about that. But it's funny sometimes just seeing the kids. And then they don't know that they're actually eating venison. They might now, but yeah, because when we do, the deer gets processed and we use it for lunch and dinner.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so we actually have
awesome. Like whole stuff, or do you make some burger and everything?
Yep, they'll make they usually we have spaghetti the one night, and then they'll have burgers that they make with the burger with the meal. And then we do have regular hot dogs and hamburgers and stuff for people, but other than that, and then they have
that's what the red meat is venison.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, they never know it until later on. They're like, did we eat? Like, they'll come back to me a year later. Miss Nadine, did we eat venison? Did you like it? Yep. Yes, you did. Oh, was it Bambi? No, it was Bambi's mom. You're okay. And they just, okay. And then they just walk away. I'm like, really? It's like, okay. Because they usually, after they take their course, I always tell the kids, if you get a deer I want to know about, they'll send me pictures of their harvest. And it's really cool that, even if they go out of state to do it, I always get a picture from my kids, and it's like, and then I'll send it to the committee, or when we have a course here, I'm like, look, this is what we got from one of our kids, and it's fantastic. So nice to see that, and even the parents are like, look what the kids got. Can we send? Absolutely, so it's really neat to see that.
It's awesome.
Yep.
Well, anything else in closing you can?
I don't think so. Come out and shoot.
Yeah.
Have some fun, even if you've never done it before. Come up to the club. We're here at 4. If you have to get a hold of me, I'm usually the one who's answering the Facebook page, the emails. Okay. And just if you have any questions about it, just come on out. Or about anything, like what we talked about today. But if you're interested in archery, we have our shoots. And if you've never done it before, come out and try it.
Yeah. And do you have to wait until your open house to do to join?
Nope. If you're interested in being a member, our application is online.
Okay.
You do have to do the orientation. Our next orientation is August 30th during our craft and vendor show that we're having up here, and you just do the 2-hour orientation. You don't need any reference. Well, you need references. They can be members or they can be out of town or out of the club. But I
Okay.
usually call to make sure, see if everybody calls. No, he's a jerk or she's a jerk. Don't let him in. But he's a psycho killer or whatever. But no, we do call on the references. So you got to
Okay.
make sure it's the right references.
Pick the right people.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. It's been a really fun chat. It's been
Well,
great
thank you.
getting to know you,
Yeah.
the person behind the Facebook page, and everything you guys are up to here. So thumbs up from us. Thank
Well,
you for
thank you.
everything you're doing for the hunting community and getting people out there and
Thanks for having
participating,
us.
so.
We'll do it again sometime. Maybe when we have our open house, we'll get together or something.
Yeah,
I'll
that'd
let
be
you know.
that'd be fantastic.
Awesome.
So, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nadine.
Yeah.
See ya.
Thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. If you would like to support us here at Pertnear Outdoors and what we've got going on, it's pretty easy. The only real financial way you could do that to help us is to shop through our links. If you click on the link tree in our bio, we have a group of stores in there that we have affiliate codes with, and we will get a little commission from any of the purchases that you make on there. So a lot of those are your common stores that you like to buy your outdoor products from, and we would really appreciate that. So head on over there and use those links and help support the podcast, and we will keep marching on. So thank you, everybody. Have a good one.